Rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Town clerk's report.
I have the approval of the August 2023 Town Clerk's Report and the acceptance of the August 17th Town Board meeting minutes.
I move that we accept those, the report and those minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bills?
I have general bills number 2331 through 20367, highway bills 20368 through 20383, and water bill 3227.
I move that we pay those bills.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're gonna open up to public comment. Yes, please stand up, state your name.
My name is Nancy Sullivan, and I'm representing the Pine Plains Garden Club tonight. We need the town's help. We can no longer water the barrels. If we plant barrels next year, the garden club is just getting too old to do it. It would be easy if there was a tank on the back of a pickup truck, and all 22 barrels could be done in a half an hour, but us old ladies lugging jugs of water, it's just too much anymore, even after all the rain we had this year. I did get some tank prices from Tractor Supply. 35-gallon tank is $169.99, and 65-gallon is $299.99, and 210 tank, which I don't think we need, is $519. And a 2.4 gallon per minute pump is $119.99. And a 4.5 gallon per minute is $139.99. And a 1.2 gallon per minute is $79. By late June, mid-July, each barrel needs 2 to 2.5 gallons every other day if we don't have rain. Now, we were lucky this year, we had a lot of rain, but most of us in the garden club are 75 plus, and lugging the water is just too much anymore. So we're asking you to consider next year having the town take that responsibility. There are 20 to 22 barrels. And I figure if you had a tank on the back of a truck, it could probably, all the barrels could be done in a half an hour. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Where do you get the water from now, though? Sorry.
Our house,
And
it's
then you put it there?
Rocco's.
Okay.
That's, the lesser concern is the weight of the water to water all those barrels. Vicky and I and Thayer and Penny Wheeler, who doesn't live in town now and is 85 years old, came to town and watered the barrels in front of the clock because she plants them every year. We're still willing to plant them, get the initial watering done, but we just can't do it anymore. Any other questions?
How can we get some more younger members?
We've been told, but it's not like, when my mother was in the garden club, there were mothers at home. Now everybody,
I know.
young people are working.
I know.
What about like National Honor Society kids? Are they needing community service and that stuff?
It's to come help plant them. They're really good about it, but
They're not at school.
they're not, you know.
They're not at school during the summer.
Doing summer, and they have jobs.
It's really from the weekend before Memorial Day to Labor Day. Now, this year we continued to water through Community Day, but now we're done. But I think they look pretty spectacular this year. And
They
we'd like to
always
keep-
do. They always
We'd
look
like to
great.
keep it up, but we're just too old.
Anyone else have anything else?
Well, if anybody has an interest in joining the garden club, who should they contact? You?
Any garden
Okay.
club member, sure.
Just in case anybody out there is watching and they would like to, just in case. Just in case.
Thank you.
Ted Howie from the PTA asked me to, they're doing their annual booth through at the high school this year on October 21st. Any families interested in setting up a tent, like, and having a little theme so the kids can come get candy. I know there's gonna be 2 food trucks there and it's a lot of fun for the kids to run around, so.
Anybody else have anything?
Close the public comment. Warren,
I don't have anything new, but like a few minutes with you in executive session after the meeting.
okay, so then we're gonna open the public hearing for the senior tax exempt.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Law question. Warren, we're gonna be reviewing the solar law, the part 3 of solar law. We also obviously should be looking to add under the special use permit some provisions for criteria to be looked at when issuing a solar law and under the special use permit. Do we need to do anything else, or can that be included in what we've undertaken so far?
Yeah, I mean, have you decided to appoint the zoning review committee to undertake the task of looking at the solar law? Who's going to be doing it?
I spoke to them, they're willing to do that.
Yeah.
So it's be a matter of the board.
Yeah, I mean, the committee could consider that. You don't really need.
So I just didn't know whether they needed additional authorization or direction in terms of,
Yeah, I mean, that would be within the province of looking at the entire solar law.
okay,
The solar law does not need supplementary regulations, so there are supplementary regulations in the zoning law for certain special permitted uses. Others don't have those. For uses which have a standalone section of the law, such as the solar law, you don't need to have that, but they could if they want. But most of those conditions are already included, the criteria are already included in the solar law. But, I can talk to the zoning review committee on that issue.
I just think they should think about it.
Yeah, okay, that's certainly one of the things they have to look at.
So we're gonna open the public hearing on the senior exemption. You want to touch base on this one?
Yeah, we don't have the census here. Basically, the real property tax law has been recently amended in section 467 to allow the municipalities in the state of New York to increase the level to qualify for senior citizens exemption. So at the request of the assessor, I have drafted the local law, which increases the percentage of assessed valuation exempt from taxation to a more reasonable level for senior citizens. It's identical to the level that we adopted recently in the town of Northeast. That seems to be kind of a standard increase. So I think it would certainly benefit our senior citizens, and the law should be, in my opinion, passed by the town board. I don't know if anybody else has any.
Does anybody have any comments, concerns, questions?
Raised to. What was the exemption raised to?
Yeah, that exact number right there.
I don't know if I have a copy of last year's exemption. Exemption last year was the annual income. You want me to go through the whole list?
No, just,
Okay. $29,000 or less, 50% exemption. 29,001 to 29,999 is 45%. 30,000 to 30,999, 40%. 31,000 to 31,999, 35%. 32,000 to 32,900, 30%. 32,901 to 33,800, 25%. 33,801 to 34,700, 20%. 34,701 to 35,600, 15%. 35,601 to 36,500, 10%. And 36,501 to 37,400, 5%. The proposed increase would be 35,000 or less, 50%. 35,000 to 35,999, 45%. 36,000 to 36,999, 40%. 37,000 to 37,999, 35%. 38,000 to 38,899, 30%. 38,900 to 39,799, 25%. 39,800 to 40,699, 20%. 40,700 to 41,599, 15%. 41,600 to 42,499, 10%, and 42,500 to 43,399, 5%. Greater than 43,400, there's no exemption.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are there any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll vote on that now.
Do I need a motion for somebody first and second before?
Motion to
Yeah.
adopt the local law.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the local law for the senior citizens.
All right, Supervisor Walsh.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrose.
Aye.
Councilman Bartles.
Aye.
Councilwoman Jones. Councilman Zick.
Thank you.
We should send a copy of that to the assessors and.
Okay, we'll go into department reports. Highway.
We've been busy trying to get the roads cleaned up and ready for the fall and winter season. And we've been doing some, tree removal of the storms that we've had in the last couple of weeks. A lot of trees down, so we cleaned them off and got them put away. It's been pretty, easy going last month. So, looking forward to getting the road mowed back this coming. Was curious about the bids on the garage and, do we have any bites on doing the work on Woodward Hill? Woodward Hill,
Woodward Hill, the bid was accepted for Cali Russell last month. As far as garage, George came down, George is putting some stuff together for that process.
excellent. Thank you, Carl.
Building inspector.
On that report for August 2023, there were 13 building permits, which brings the total for the year to 78. We did have to write our first new home during August. 4 certificate of occupancies issued, no municipal searches done, which is interesting. I don't know the last time that's happened. That's a request I get from title companies when property transfers or refinance. So the real estate market is
flat.
the latter. I don't know the last time I know. Usually it's 5, 6 a month.
Yeah,
0.
it's really flat.
Yeah, I did 19 site inspections for that. That was my life.
I just have one thing. There is a feather sign at the little vegetable stand. It's like, it really does not belong there. On
Out on
83,
83.
on 83, at the horse farm there.
I'm so far out of the way.
I have to drive by it.
I came for a peddler's permit.
Also, we need to take the next step with Hoffman Road. We gotta get that cleaned up.
I don't know what to do with it. I mean, everything that I don't have 2 things to do. I have the uniform code, property maintenance section, and I have our local law. They both have the owner responsible. There is no owner of the property.
Which,
The property that the house explosion was on several years ago,
oh, the bird.
and the person perished in the.
Right.
So the property has never been transferred. It remains in the owner's name.
Is there no, I thought I looked into that. Was there a, anything filed in the probate court to probate an estate? I think there's a way to deal with that. Contact me about that
Okay.
again.
right.
I'll pull out the file.
Didn't one of the neighbors offer to pay for it as well?
No, there is a way to deal with that with the property owner.
Oh,
They tried to purchase, the neighbor tried to
Okay.
purchase it.
Yeah.
There was a little communication there, and then the last I talked to the neighbor, that ended, and I haven't been able to communicate with her either, so.
It's just dragging on too long. We
Oh,
gotta get it
absolutely.
cleaned up before winter.
Yeah, there
Absolutely.
is a way to deal with that.
Okay, I will, absolutely. That's what we're doing now.
Did everybody receive the water engineering report? Recreation, Mr. Cooper here yet? I know he's at open house. He said he'd be a little late, so he comes in later before we finish. He can touch on that. Animal control.
Good evening. As you know, last month we received a letter from the Pine Plains Veterinary Clinic regarding the not renewal of the contracts for shelter services. The Pine Plains Clinic currently shelters dogs for 14 towns. Come January, they are not going to renew contracts. So I've done a little research to find out about some shelters. And I got some positives and some negatives. My first one was to consider possibly the Hammertown Kennels across the street here. I spoke with Mary Boyles, the person that runs the kennels. They had two concerns. One concern was that usually in the summer, their kennels are full. So, you know, if I have to bring a dog in, might not be able to because they're full. The second thing is they require veterinary paperwork for vaccinations. Obviously, you pick a dog up off the road, you don't know if it's vaccinated or not. So that was kind of shot down. The next, I reached out to Dutchess County SPCA. They are not taking town contracts as well. They changed their mission, I guess, whatever that means. But they changing what they're doing down there. Columbia County does honor town contracts, Columbia County SPCA. The only downfall was that is, you know, if you have a legitimate dog that got loose, you got, you know, you have your resident drive up to Hudson to pick the dog up. The other thing was possibly set up our own shelter at the town highway garage. Did a little research into that. The town of Dover has it in their highway garage. The village of Rhinebeck or the town of Rhinebeck, one of those two have it at their garage. Shelters, I looked at shelters. Also in your mailbox, I sent the state requirements for shelters for dogs. I did reach out to a couple of places. They have prefab shelters. The lowest price I got for a decent 2-kennel prefab shelter was $5,897. That's one option. The other one is Tractor Supply they have the kennels, but they would have to be set up inside a building that's sheltered as well. The way it works, if you don't know how it works, is if I pick up a dog, say in Pine Plains, and I see the dog actually, I try to identify the dog, whether I scan it for a microchip or if it has a collar. If it doesn't, it becomes an unidentifiable dog. I usually try to hold it for a little bit in case if I get a phone call from somebody before I bring it to the shelter. Once I bring it to the shelter, the person, once the dog becomes identified, they have 5 days to claim that dog, or else they lose rights to the dog after the 5th day, and then it either gets adopted or sent to a care or like a licensed rescue. If it's an identifiable dog, the owner has 7 days to pick up the dog, or else they lose rights to the dog, and then that can be adopted out or sent to a licensed care facility or licensed rescue. There's a boarding fee. So if I pick up a dog today and you come and get it tomorrow, you'll be charged $25 a day plus the seizure fee. Originally, the boarding fees went to the town of Pine Plains or the veterinary clinic, and then the town receives the seizure. So in this case, if we decide to go that route, we'll have our own shelter. And because I take care of Northeast, Ancrum, and Stanford, if I bring a dog from Northeast, and that person, whoever claims the dog, they would have to pay the boarding fee to the town, or you know, to however there's gonna have to be some logistics involved in this. But say in the event a dog is not claimed, the town is still responsible to pay that boarding fee. So Northeast, if we had a dog care and I had it for 10 days, and I ship the dog out, town of Northeast still has to pay the town of Pine Plains the 10 days boarding fee, whatever you set the boarding fee at. The boarding fee right now, like in Columbia Green, is $35 a day. So, like I said, and then if you do go that route, you would have to set up a contract similar to what we had set up with the Pine Plains Veterinary Clinic, but just some different wording in there. So those are some options out there. I do have some information on the 2 kennels I was looking at that I can provide you guys. But I had the town of Amenia dog control officer contact me. She asked me what I was planning to do because she's with Pine Plains. I told her what I was looking at, a couple options. She says if the town of Pine Plains gets their own shelter, can town of Amenia pay those services for their shelter? It's all up to the towns. I would be responsible for the care and maintenance of it. So,
And the dogs as well, while they're there?
yes.
How many dogs do you have?
So-
maximum?
I've been doing this for 7 years.
Mhm.
The most that I had one year was 8 dogs. I have all 4 towns. This year, I think I have 4 dogs, 5 dogs.
At the same time,
No, throughout the year.
throughout the year. right.
Same time. Maybe 2 dogs at the most.
So a 2-dog kennel would be
Oh, yeah.
probably adequate.
Yeah.
How about the vet in Stanfordville? Are they interested?
These large animals.
That's large animals.
But they don't have any small animal accommodation.
What do you think Northeast Stanfordville, Amelia would be interested in helping us with this initial setup cost as well?
Something you'll have to work out. I don't know if you want to get involved in that, because what happens if one of the towns back out, you know, who gets what, you know?
And what about Ledgewood Kennel? Did you check them?
No, I didn't go crazy with it.
That's a kennel up on,
That's probably gonna be vet vaccinated though too, because they board a lot of people's.
They
dogs,
do.
and they do a lot of like diving.
Dog diving.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The Amelia dog control officer said she called a lot of, most of the kennels in the area, even Barbara Clayton, she called. And nobody was, it's, you know, the thing is, and the reason why the vet's office is kind of dropping is sometimes you have to deal with irate dog owners because they cannot have their dog, we cannot release the dog back to them unless they have a dog license. And sometimes, you know, especially like at the vet's office, if I seize the dog or Saturday night and they don't have a license, well, that dog sits in there until Monday until they get a license, so they're getting charged a boarding fee for every single day. So,
get us the prices of things. I'm interested. I think it'll make your life easier, right?
oh, well, it'll be nice because I'll have 24/7 access to it.
And I think it would also be good for our local residents that like if their dog does get out, they don't have to go to Hudson and we have potential of making $100 a year.
If you're comfortable with that, if you're comfortable with having that operation, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's some logistics, and I'm sure we'll have to be in contact with Warren on contracts and there's some different record keeping requirements with the kennel, which I'm very familiar with anyway, so.
And would the kennel be inside or out? I didn't get that.
The modular kennel will be outside.
Okay.
The other one, if you were to go the cheaper route through Tractor Supply, would have to be inside.
I mean, couldn't we put it back here though too?
Well, then you
Instead
got
of at the
security
highway?
issues.
Police are here.
Well, they're not here all the time.
It needs to be in a lock.
Oh,
The lock key at the
okay.
highway garage, secured area.
What are we paying, 5 planes back?
We're paying them $25 a day.
Not a.
No, there's no service fee,
No service.
no service fee.
Oh, that's nice.
You can even live in that.
I mean, if someone was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what it is. That particular kennel meets the state requirements. 'Cause everything, you can't have wood, like wood based, it's all poly based, so it's easier to clean and maintain. Anytime a dog is in the kennel and then it gets released out of the kennel, that kennel has to be cleaned and sanitized. So in the walls in the back room part where where they bed down are all the stuff they use for the bathrooms and stuff. So it's nice. All right. The only concern I have is if you get days that tend to come below 0, a bigger dog can take that as long as they're out of the wind. But you know, if you get a little terrier or one of those hot dogs or whatever you want, things like and that, you know, we'll have to go from there.
Well, do we have any money available in the general fund?
Yes. I mean, you can sit on, I wouldn't go more than a month, but you know, think about it for a month and then.
Think about it. Yeah, you guys can think about it, but I will bring it up next meeting for you, Rich.
That particular,
I like this.
that's available, that's up in Hudson right now. These other ones, I went through Bayhorse, I mean, they were looking at over $9,000. And that was for a single one. Then there was a couple other ones that were, but, and then you can go to town, you can go to a $14,000 kennel with climate control.
I don't want climate control at my house.
But yeah, that's, you know, like I said, the logistics, I mean, that's not that hard, I mean, figure things out and I'll work with Warren on the contracts if we decide to do that, go that route, and this way we can get northeast, I mean, whatever.
Well, either way, we need one for our town right now.
Yes.
So our residents don't have to go to Huntsville. Right, correct?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're a licensing agent in town, you still, yeah, and you have a dog patrol officer, you have to have shelter.
Yeah, the contract with the vet is good until the end of the year.
Okay.
They're just not renewing for January.
January, yeah. I forgot.
So we
John-
want to get this set up before like December, January, like this ground will be frozen, like, so.
The only thing I would like to keep open with the contact or with the vet is our account for emergency services. Because when I see the dog, say for in Pine Plains, it's now a town dog. We're responsible for the care of that dog. So that's another contract thing because I gotta work also with Kingston Animal Hospital and event something happens. I had that situation over here a couple of years ago with the 2 dogs were hit by a car. The contract would say something like, life-saving measures only is what we would be financially responsible for, because sometimes these vets will go to town and you'll have a $5,000 bill. That's what happened over here. And luckily the owners paid it and they'll end up having to put both dogs down anyway.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware and I took both dogs to emergency care there. And, they went to town over there and unfortunately, so that'll probably be next month, not next month's presentation. But that's something we should have in place, medical contract saying life-saving measures only. God forbid if we run into that situation again. But I like to keep that open over there to that, so they're good with that. So, I mean, that, problem is they're not 24/7, so that's why.
No, I got you.
Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Any questions on any dog? I mean, this is my first meeting I've been to in a long, long.
I was gonna say, it's great to see you.
Yeah.
So, you have any-
That's two.
That's 2, that's a double count, yeah.
Yeah.
With a fever, with 2
Double
fevers.
bars are. in the middle.
Thank you, Rick.
Yep, thank you.
Oh. Is that for Rich?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you said it would be outdoors
Yes.
and you said that it would get below 10 degrees.
No, my concern is that if you get a night or something that gets below 10 degrees below 0 or something.
Why don't we do like an indoor one then?
We have a space. I mean, a big dog can be out in 10 below 0 as long as it's sheltered from the wind.
I mean, yes, but I feel like a lot of the dogs that are put into like that are usually pretty like small dogs.
Not all of them.
Well, I don't know, but
I mean, they don't have a prolonged stay there. If they are generally picked up in a.
it's like, you just don't want like, you want them to at least be like a bit comfortable.
And it's like.
It's when they usually would freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a heat lamp or something, we would humanely treat the dog.
I'm alive.
Those are one of those things.
I'm not worried about that. They're gonna have care. It's not-
Yeah, we can take it home. He won't care.
Police Department.
Okay, 14 court hours, 226.5 total, 3 hours of discovery, 50 of admin, 13 investigation, 4 of details, 35 vehicle staff cover, 22 complaints, 2 fire and EMS, 35 traffic warnings, 22 UPCs issued, and 1 arrest. And we scheduled 49 shifts and we covered 49. Okay.
Thank you for your help at Community Day too.
No problem.
And Officer Camburn for getting into the dunk booth.
New business. Wait, anyone?
Oh, so Millbrook or the town of Washington is doing something, it's not about eliminating short-term rentals, but it's about charging people who use their houses as short-term rentals taxes for it. Since it's eliminating a potential long-term resident who wants to stay in the community from not being able to rent it. To get a little bit of money back for the town, I just thought it was very interesting, and I think, we talked about short-term rentals in the past. And it's something that I would like to see, just because, people are saying that they want to stay here, but they can't find a place because it's always being rented out on the weekends, and those places are being Airbnb, and the tech running the business, like, are they claiming that as a business, so. Right, do we do something like that, like charge those people a tax for the short-term rentals, or no?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a short-term rental.
Well, yeah,
We have to, And, you know, they're not easy to formulate and enforce and pass. And do we have a lot of short-term rentals in town?
Yes.
Are we getting complaints about any of them?
No complaints, but the only point that I'm hearing is that the short-term rentals are taking away the housing for people that want to stay here for permanent.
That's
You know,
that's
like,
a big issue. Yeah.
so like they're making in a weekend what, you know, they could charge, you know, like they're making more money than they need. But a family is not being able to.
Right.
So that's what's becoming the issue. Like, I don't care about the party and I like having people come in, but I would just like to see if they're gonna do it that way, at least in town, get a little bit of money from it.
So you're thinking of allowing, regulating them and taxing? them?
Yes, but tax.
Okay. I mean, I can look into some examples. I mean, there's a whole variety of the whole spectrum of different short-term rental laws. You want to have a liberal one that really gives, allows the municipality, the town to make some money on it rather than
Yeah.
eliminating it.
Yeah, that's what
I can find something that might do the trick.
maybe we could do a November workshop meeting with it.
You know. Yeah, November would be better.
They'll give you.
I'll look
2
around for
months.
something.
Thank you, Warren.
Sort of along those lines, I just want to bring to people's attention. In this last issue of the Talk of the Towns. There's an executive order on affordable housing and towns. Where they're proposing there's going to be a pro-housing community program to encourage residential development. And you have to become a pro-housing community. If you do that, you then get priority in terms of your grant proposals having to do with housing. I think we should just be aware of that. And it's something we should look at and think about.
What's on the checklist that we have to do to become?
It didn't sound like it was all that much, but you can, there's the information of getting that information to us is in here.
Okay.
And we could follow up on that and get that information to find it. It didn't look from my brief reading of the synopsis that it was particularly difficult. I don't know. You have to get the language and look at it. But it's there, it's happening. And then if you're trying to get a grant and you don't have priority, then you're likely not to get the grant. And there's a lot of grant money out there, particularly for a small town center renewal type things. And if they involve additional workforce housing, that they would look at very favorably.
I'll take a look at that article and see if I
Yeah.
can figure out what.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Warren.
Anybody else have any new business? All right, we rebid the propane. Bid for 2024. Crown Gas came in the lowest at $1.47 a gallon. Looking for a motion to approve them as our vendor for 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve Crown.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're still in old business, or is that new?
No, we're new business still. We haven't gone to old business yet. Also, the committee for the park in the center of town. Would like approval for the fall cleanup. Removal of the fall leaves, weeding beds, edging, re-graveling of walkways. They're looking for approval to use $1,160.
Doesn't Bobby Lee take care of that?
Not this part of it. He knows it.
So who would be doing the work?
Down to
I mean, we kind of have to, it's in the middle of the town, so I'll make that motion that we accept it.
I'll second it.
got a motion, got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
You have anything else in new business?
No, nothing new business.
Okay. Old business. Good.
I want to talk about the flea market. I felt that we granted approval for 2 weekends to give it an experiment on how it went. And I now see it's being booked into November. I don't know who gave them that approval, and then I also saw at one point that they were charging more for the spots for latecomers than what we agreed on, like on a Facebook post, she said, if you don't book by today, the price is gonna go up. And I was wondering like how that happened.
I
But,
didn't see that part. You didn't hear that. This is the first I'm hearing about.
well, I saw it on a Facebook post, so I can try to look it up, because people think stay on the internet. And I just was wondering where everybody else was at with, the flea market. I feel that, you know, we gave them a little and they took it and ran.
You're 100% right. It should have been brought up last month. As far as the extension. Would they have the month of? When did they?
It was supposed to be, I missed the August meeting, so they were,
Yeah,
only-
was it-
so they were supposed to have the 2 in August.
Correct.
And then nothing into September. I thought that we were,
The problem with being that you're gonna leave them the whole month of September if they didn't add on. Is it really harming anything?
no, but I mean, those people, like, we have Circle Farm and the flower cart down there. We're the only 2 places in town that have paid for a peddler's permit in town to sell their goods at a place. There's these other things popping up, and it's would have been cheaper for them just to pay the $10 a week to go there, but instead they were trying to, you know, stay open this whole time. Those guys are paying $10. I don't think it's fair for other things, because it's not even like it's actual professionals down there with some of their stuff. It's not like, I thought a flea market was gonna be like the household goods that like people are trying to sell, not like actual vendors and makers, if that makes any sense to you. I don't know. I guess my interpretation of the flea market just might be different.
Well, we did bring it up and questioned it. And I also believe that they're now advertising into next year. So I think that we ought to conclude in one of our workshops as we're going to sit down and talk about this. I don't know, has there been any problems? John, has there been any problems there? No, none of the you have. Okay, I'm just not aware. I haven't even gone through it, so I don't know. But I think that we've got to. I didn't realize also that they had changed the fee structure.
Well, I just saw it on Facebook. It was a
Right.
random, like, if you didn't book by today, it's gonna go up to this.
Right.
And I was very thrown by that, because that is,
How many vendors did they typically have?
I think they had like 26, I heard last.
Okay.
They haven't given me any fees. Weren't they supposed to
And
give
I-
me half?
yeah, and I only walked through it once, and they said that they were supposed to have like 20, and it didn't look like 20.
Yeah, I haven't been to.
Let's get some more information and we can talk about it at our workshop meeting later on, find out some more, but I think you're right, we were. It's so informal, the whole thing, that I don't know. I think if we're going to continue it, we have to have a more formal agreement to decide.
I mean, we still have holes in that ground. Like, I had to cover up a few like during community day, like where the kids, you know, walking around, and God forbid somebody's walking around at that flea market, hits one of those holes, it's still on our property, you know, we're
What were the holes?
just,
This thing called.
yeah.
Oh,
Every now and then when it rains, every now and then.
Okay, it's not something they.
Yeah, no, like, but if somebody
But I
like twists an ankle or.
have to finalize some sort of agreement if we decide to go along with it. Because it is a little bit too loose.
I'm just saying, we decided, we agreed upon 2, and now
Right.
we're already into 4 or 5, and they're continuing to book without anything being brought back to us. I just want to put it up there.
Well, I think we should have an agenda item next month.
I will,
And we
yes,
should
and
ask
if I,
them
yeah,
to be present and to give us a report on exactly
Mhm.
what has happened and what they plan to have.
Since there's 26 vendors a week, that's $100, for us, right? $50.
Yeah, because they're paying, they said that they would pay
Half.
for the porta potties, right?
Yes.
Anything else in old business before we get, yeah, I just saw one.
Okay, no.
Michael Cooper,
Yes, sir.
recreation report.
I'm not sure if he's gonna be here to speak, we're both just at open house. Jen Chase, she submitted a letter of resignation for camp.
We have not received the letter.
Okay, so she is planning on stepping down after serving it since I was a child. She's moving on to bigger and better things. And we wish her the best. I received an email from a resident about the sale of a property on the lake where people sometimes go in. And sorry, I'm out of breath. I had to park on the road and run over here because I was late. I received an email from a resident. They sold that property. I believe it's the old boys camp, the peninsula there, which also has the access that residents use. And the person was asking about us possibly putting a swim at your own risk sign at the beach. So folks can do that. As you folks are aware, we've got a ton of signs down there, and that's not really something that I would decide unilaterally. That's something that you folks would have to figure out, and there's probably some legal ramifications to that. Other than that, that's all I got right now.
Where do they want the swim to? At our lake or over where
Yeah,
the
so
peninsula is?
at our beach, because they're worried that that other side won't have public access.
I think it really has public access right now. I think people just kind of,
Yeah.
well, really, it make it.
Well, that's kind of what it means. I don't know if in the future the person's gonna do that. I do know from my time up in the Adirondack, some public beaches do that, but that was really because they didn't have lifeguards. So we don't have that problem.
And right now, I believe it says on it, the beach is closed. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, so our current signs is beaches closed and lifeguards aren't on duty. And that's what I'll leave it at
I
that.
thought that was a health department requirement.
I think it is done.
Yeah.
That's my recollection.
Yeah, that we, by saying swimming at your own risk is basically giving permission to swim.
Exactly, and
And so I don't know, we'd have to look at that.
yeah, and the only reason is because the resident asked out, figured I'd pass it on to you folks. And up in the Adirondack Park, there's a lot of towns, town along Lake, they couldn't hire lifeguards this year. And what they did is they made it swim at your own risk, and they've got a water park. And I'm sure the state health code is enforced by the county up there. So there may be a way, but it's just something that a resident asked me about, and I figured I'd pass it on to y'all.
Well, years ago, people used to swim after hours all the time. And
That may still be occurring,
Yeah, that still happens.
so.
that still happens.
Yeah. I didn't know if we wanted to
But there was
broadcast
a
that.
time when it was kind of told, we were told that couldn't happen. Or that shouldn't happen, and they wanted some kind of,
Yeah, because at one point it was fenced in,
Fence.
That's why we put that fencing.
right,
yeah.
right.
Original.
So I don't know if it's still the same.
I think that's what we've got to
I
find
know
out.
a lot of people that used to swim across the lake early in the morning and go in years ago.
Everybody else?
Yeah, that's all I have. In a couple of weeks, I'll figure out the deal for our Pee Wee basketball, and then report back to you.
Thank you. Last thing under old business, we have to discuss the police agreement with Stanville. They're received that copy that Stanville sent.
Yes.
Thoughts?
And that's what we-
Feedback?
Isn't that what you originally had it done from the beginning? They didn't make too many changes, did they?
Oh, they made two. Couple changes, nothing
Nothing huge.
No,
Yeah.
So they don't have, they don't have a police department.
that is correct.
So they have been, I assume they've been using the sheriff's department and the state police.
Yes, they're not contracted to them. They just, if there's been a car in an area.
Yeah.
They would cover that area. So there's no contract between them.
Okay, so there's a language in this contract that says we'll respond, that our police department will respond to all such calls with reasonable dispatch. And then, we'll respond during the hours when the police are on duty with personnel and equipment to all proper calls within reasonable dispatch. Can we really guarantee that we're gonna do all calls? I can't imagine that we can do all calls.
That's if they're on shift there. That's if they're on shift.
My notes.
I know if they're on shift, but we might have calls too.
Section.
It's like, I'm just anxious about that language of that you respond to all calls.
Sarah, that would be too different though. If there was a car up here, they wouldn't be going down there.
Yeah, but when they're using our car, it's a separate, like, there would be one in Pine Plains.
Oh,
one in
okay,
Stamford.
yes, all right.
Like, they wouldn't be doing both towns at the same.
When they're on a
But
shift or Stanford,
that means-
that's
but-
Stanford.
But I know that here, the sheriffs and the state police sometimes are the ones that go to the calls here.
Correct.
So won't that be the same for
It
Sanfordville,
would
or
be the same.
will that have to be responsible for all calls?
No, it'd be the
Sarah,
same.
was 911 polls out too.
Yeah,
They'll poll out for cars in the area
right,
and say there was another state trooper car on Bullseye. And it pulled out and the Pine Plains car was up by the Millbrook Boys School. doing
Right.
something.
right.
The state trooper car would then
Okay.
get the call. But
I,
it's still-
I understand that, that's how it has worked, and it works fine. I'm just anxious about the language that we're gonna do all the calls. Like, we're not gonna do all the calls, we're not, the 911 is gonna do what they do, and, whatever.
Could they send us a red line so I could see what changes they made?
The first they were just gonna have the two vehicle in traffic. Then
So can I look at this, and then
want to stand
get back to you next month, or, because I can't review this.
Right now.
Yeah, I'll just tell them they have to wait.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there could be some language that would be a little bit
I don't know.
less,
John, let me look at that.
I don't think I have
This.
That might not be enough there.
I don't. The one that
or that
I.
would explain what the system has been and continues to be, as opposed to us getting all the calls.
You can't do that. It has to be, it has to be within a certain prescribed limit to that, because your first priority is the protection for the town of Pine Plains.
I mean, but that's if somebody's on duty for the Stanfordville, then we get, but there's something about that language, I don't like that language. I think you could modify that language for us.
Could I have till next meeting to look at this, or?
This is.
I think you should.
For that.
Right. Yeah, I can respond, yeah.
This is mine.
Yeah, you
I
can
can
work
do
it
that.
out.
Why don't we do this? I'll look at
This
it
is
and
the one.
I'll send you an email with my comments.
It's marked it up. The one that you.
I'm sure that you can make it
Yeah,
less
No.
absolute.
yeah.
They just got a little antsy at one point.
The September part.
What's that?
The September part. That's what tells me it's not.
Oh, we sent it on.
It's not the one, or it is?
It is the one.
It is.
When you have it, it's the one.
Okay.
Huh?
This is.
Okay, I got you.
You want mine?
This is.
The new one. It's the middle.
Okay,
It's the same.
but I didn't know.
Yep, it's the
I didn't
same.
know whose that was.
Yeah, this
Copy
one's
of
mine.
Our police officers and police officers. Our peace officers and police officers. Is that
Yeah,
interchangeable?
a police officer is a form of peace officer. A police officer is a form of.
A form of, because we use, that's used interchangeably. So, and do they have to? In order for them to be legitimate, do they have to get sworn in by the town of Stamford? our people as a dual kind of.
No, because they're not working for the town. This is a contractual.
Effective with-
I mean, we don't want to make it seem like they are working for the town of Stanford.
No,
They're
they wouldn't.
employed by the town of Stanford. It'll take me just a short while.
You want me to send you an electronic copy of that?
Yeah, can you make a copy?
No, I'll send you electronic.
Oh, yeah, send it. to me
Yeah,
and
can I keep
I'll-
this?
I'll get back to you.
Yes. Yep. Jen, you just walked in, go ahead.
Great. So. Thank you. I'm sorry I missed recreation, the recreation part. I was at.
He just got here, so.
Oh, okay. So this is my end of the season meeting. I always come after camp ends. I'd like to give an update, answer any questions the board may have. It was an amazing year. We had yet again another successful year at camp. The kids, you know, for this town to have such a program, you know, there was about 130 kids a week. And there were no problems. There were no, I'm not gonna jinx myself. You know, everything went really smoothly. The health department, the beach, just, it was a great season. And so, you know, I just like to come check and see if you guys have any questions, let you know how things went. The final bills were in for transportation. Those are always the hefty ones. I'll work on my annual budget report like I always do, and I'll give it to Michael. Every year I do a parent survey, and I always take those results and try to make improvements to camp. Obviously the big hits are the field trip and the beach. So, and the counselors. So, the biggest thing that people ask for on the surveys, or the weakness of camp that they'd like to see improve, is they want longer hours. But our camp is open 9 to 4. It's the longest hour around camp that I know of. Most camps go 9 to 1. But, you know, we used to have early drop off and late pickup. And I think parents like that. The problem is the funding for the employee budget line, and then those kids, it's a long day for working, especially when it's 90 degrees, you know. So, and many of them have things that they do at night. So sports and different things like that. So if we could improve upon that, that was the thing that people were looking for. I think the biggest issue as a director and for the program is the amazingness of online registration also brings the problem of we max out within 3 to 4 weeks, maxed out every week. At all 6 weeks of camp are filled up within 3 to 4 weeks of opening registration. And that's awesome, except then sometimes people don't bring their kids and we can't fill those spots. We try, we have a wait list usually of about 20 people, and sometimes we can fill the spots, and other times people have made other arrangements. In the past, I've done like a $10 deposit. Logistical nightmare when people are mailing $10 checks from spring to summer, but it worked. So we may want to reconsider. That could be, you know, all gone away and taken care of and resolved with online payment. So hopefully we'll move forward with that. Otherwise, things went really great. Do you guys have any questions? Okay. On the other hand, I know Michael announced it's like a bittersweet moment for me. I am officially resigning from Pine Plains Summer Day Camp. I want to thank this board and all of the past boards, because I never dreamed 18 years ago when I started this program what it would become. We were the only program that ran under the Dutchess County Health Department during COVID. And the program has gone from 20 kids a week the first summer to 130, 140 kids a week. It's amazing. We have so many employees now that were campers their whole life. And that's super cool. Because they actually know what it feels like to be at the camp and be like a kid, you know, in that program. So I really want to say thank you. The town has always really supported the program. And, you know, it's not just the board, it's people like Joe Emilio in Stewart's who yell across Stewart's, I'll get that path mode so those kids can get to the library, or the librarian who chooses to do programs down at the camp, so 130 or 40 kids can see it versus 6 or 7 kids. The bus drivers who work in the summer, people like Madeline, who set up lemonade stands and then throw water guns at us as we went to 95 degree days. You know, those are the towers who will donate pizzas for a surprise party for the kids. Like, this town is the reason that this camp is the way it is, because it's an amazing supportive town. So, you know, thank you. On the other hand, I would like to beg this board to reconsider a decision that you made this spring to cut the director position by $1,000. It is the first time that money has been taken away from me. It is a problem. The hours and the amount of work that it takes to run a program of that size goes beyond the pay. You need a director for the program, and people will not work for nothing. And to do that to a director of a program who is a majorly successful program in this town, probably the only recreation program that brings in thousands of dollars of profit that goes into the town fund balance a year, is a shame. And it's a shame that that was done. My employee recommendation was passed and voted on, and then I got a phone call. Not one person called me and said, "What do you do? What are your hours? What do you do for this money?" So that's a shame. And I'm begging you to reconsider that, because the next director needs to get paid an appropriate amount for the hours that they put in. So I'm asking the town board to think about that and give it to them. But again, for me, it's neither here nor there. It's for the next year's director that I'm concerned about. So please think about that in your decisions as you hire. There are lots of people who want to see the camp continue, and that's why I'm putting my nose now. I am ready for the next chapter in my life. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to have done what I've done. And I think that it's an amazing program, and I hope to see it continue. So the work starts in February. I always just did it. The work starts in February, so it gives you 4 months to find someone who's ready and able to take it over if you're willing to have the program continue. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I've met amazing parents, people, and we've conquered some huge issues and done some really cool things. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I get a motion to go in executive session. We making a decision.
Litigation and.
You guys can come up with
Drew,
your sheets.
Drew, would you mind? I want to put that system on. And if we can invite.
Are there gonna be any decisions? Are there gonna be any
John,
decisions?
I have this of your. Jim, tell John, I have it.
Can I get a motion to go in executive?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Oh, yeah. I
Take one. That's it.
move it back from executive session.
Can I get a
These guys are here for their seniors.
all in favor?
Aye.
And then I move to adjourn.
Oh, you.
Can I get a second?
Where did you meet? Right here?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On board? Awesome.